Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Squatchkins of all ages, likes and not. I am Pump Squatch. Hello, and welcome to, honestly, this is just going to be a rambly video about me talking about Warframe, because for those of you who do not know, I just started playing Warframe about a month or so ago, and as of the recording of this video, I have clocked in about 32.5, maybe 32.6 hours total into this game. And during that time, I've noticed a lot of key things about this game that I honestly just want to talk about, give my opinions on, because this is an incredible game with an even more incredible community behind it, because there's a lot of love in this game and this community, and you can definitely tell. Sorry, had to turn something off there. But before we get to the community, I do want to talk about the game itself and how it is to approach it as a new player. When you first get in, you are greeted with this cinematic that is honestly very cinematic indeed. It is very interesting. There's a lot of action going on. It seems like there's a lot of lore and depth to the story that we will get introduced to as the game goes on. And eventually we meet we get to meet the Tenno, or the Warframes, that we eventually get to choose from. Much like a starter Pokemon, you get to choose from one of 3 starter Warframes, and when you do this, they each have their own pros and cons, their own abilities. Now, when I was getting ready to start this game, I was asking some of my friends about this game, what their thoughts were, which Tenno I should choose, or which Warframe I should choose to start with. And one of my friends filled my head a little bit with some Volt propaganda, and it kind of worked because I ended up choosing Volt, and honestly, I think that was pretty good because Volt has a kit that's easy to pick up, easy to learn and master, as well as just making it easy for me to understand the rest of the mechanics of the game around me, rather than focusing on, oh, what does this ability do? What does this one do? I was able to get down the basics of movement, of handling a weapon, of doing melee combat, and things like that. I was able to understand those things because the simple kit of Volt allowed me to do so. Volt's kit is so simple that I was essentially able to learn it as I went and learned everything else, which is a huge plus for a starter, unit, Warframe, Pokemon, whatever you want to call it. That is a huge plus, being able to make it simple enough to understand so that way you could really sink your teeth into the more complicated mechanics of the rest of the game around it. And eventually you are able to switch up, get different Warframes, try them out, and always have that backup to go back to in case you just want something that's familiar to you. So, the basic mechanics are really good. It really flows well together. It's really smooth and honestly very enjoyable. So, I did enjoy the movement a lot. It really is something interesting to see how the movement is done in this game, whether it be sliding, whether it be jumping, because there is quite a bit of movement that you will be doing. A lot of movement text, nothing like crazy such as what you'll find in something like Ultra Kill or anything like that, but there is a lot of kind of nice little movements you can do. That being said, there is a huge variety of weapons, which can be a lot more than some people can handle. It's like, what do I choose? But aside from the huge variety in weapons and Warframes, that just makes it so that way you're able to find something that suits your style, and they can even be customized using upgrades and abilities and things like, well, not abilities, but upgrades and kind of modification kits. And they're just really good for allowing a diverse way of play, to where no matter what you choose, as long as it is your way to play, it is not incorrect. So I found that very cool. I found that very interesting. I do enjoy the combat of the game. I do enjoy the mechanics of the game, how everything does kind of interact. However, it can be overwhelming. All of these things can be very overwhelming alongside the sheer amount of information that you will be introduced to when playing this game, whether it be starting it or getting a little bit into the game further than just the start. The amount of information that you are presented with can be overwhelming. And to be able to get through that information, you have to do a lot of just poking around and reading. And oftentimes you'll end up poking around to something that's not related at all to what you're looking for, and you'll want to click out of that screen immediately, but you probably shouldn't, because it will be something that you will need to know later. And I've run into this a few times, unfortunately. So thank God that there is a lot of information available online, whether it be the community or the forums or the game itself. There is a lot of information readily available at your fingertips online. but it does not make it easier that it is essentially a wave of information that's crashing into you, and it can be incredibly overwhelming if you do not go into it prepared. I could definitely see it turning some people off from wanting to continue the game, and that's got to be probably one of the biggest detriments to the game, is that just the sheer amount of information can be overwhelming and make people kind of hesitant to join it, because there's so much you can do. There's so much that can affect your gameplay. And it's good to have in-depth gameplay like this. It is really good in the sense that it always gives someone something to try out, something new to experience, to really get into. But it's also a problem that we see with fighting games a lot. Fighting games are notorious for being very difficult to get into. It's way more complicated than move your analog stick left or right to move that direction. Move your analog stick up to jump, down to crouch. Because beyond that, there are motion inputs, there are grabs, there's teching, there's the most simple things. And a lot of the things that I just mentioned are baseline things that you need to understand in order to even get into fighting games a lot of the time. And a lot of that can carry over to Warframe, because there's all these mechanics, all these systems that do go into building your own Warframe, that while it allows for a lot of self-expression, it also does make it, like I keep saying, just overwhelming to try to get a grasp on. And I am very thankful for the community at large, because every time I streamed Warframe, there is someone that has come into my streams every time and said, "Hey, do you need help? Hey, how's it going, man? Hope you're having fun." Like, just very positive, very, very welcoming, very wholesome. And that's one of the biggest positives I see about the game itself as well, is the community. And a good community can make a game, as well as a bad community can break a game. Like we see with League of Legends. People who play League tell other people not to play League for the reason of mainly the community. So seeing how wholesome the community for Warframe is a huge solid plus, because they're very welcoming, very giving, very, very nice in general. I remember one of the times that I was streaming Warframe, somebody came into my chat and said, "Hey, is there a Warframe you're wanting?" I guess. Cool, I'll gift it for you. And he essentially gifted me the parts for Equinox Prime. Granted, this was a Prime Warframe that I was just in the start of the, first few planets. I had to find my way to get all the materials needed, but when he did that, I couldn't wrap my head around, like, dude, this is ridiculous. That's too nice. You're too good. You're too nice. And his only caveat, the only thing he wanted me to do, was if there was ever another person I ran into later down the line that was trying to get into the game, pay it forward and help them on their journey. That's the only caveat. It's so wholesome, so good, man. It's so good, but that just is what I mean with a community can make or break a game, regardless of how good or bad that game is. And thank God this is a very good game with a very good community. It's a game that has a great community that is willing to dig through the information needed in order to really get into the nitty-gritty of it, as well as try to explain it to people that are just getting in it, so that way that slog is easier for them. These people walk so the new players can run. It is no joke. This community is just so welcoming. Even in the game chat, there's always someone just being positive. I've yet to really see someone truly be negative and the community just like be negative with them. It is insane. It is insane because this game is free to play and you could play it for a decade, unlock basically 99% of things without having to pay a single cent, and the devs are still doing fine. The game itself, the studio, has not failed because the community itself at large wants to support this game, because it's such a good game and such a healthy, consumer-friendly way that they go about it. And the devs actively listen to the community as well. They hold live streams where they ask questions. They implement changes that they believe would be good for the game and for the consumer. It's just very refreshing and very nice. It really, really is. And honestly, I am glad to have gotten into it. I'm glad to have started playing it. I can't really say anything at this moment that has really made my experience horrible. The worst thing that I could say is that it's just a lot of information. It's a wave of information. It can be a bit of a grind sometimes. It really can. I won't deny that. But it is still an incredible game. It's a lot of fun with a lot of really good mechanics that I do enjoy kind of going through with time. There are some things that I do need to still Google, some things that I still need to look up, because even then there's the most basic things that I figured out that I can't remember how I figured out. And so I just had to Google it. And I do wish that was a little simpler. I really do. Maybe something about cleaning up the interface, because since there's so much to do and so much going on, the interface is not so much of a jumbled mess, but rather it's just a lot to try to remember and understand. And I know that is something that will come with time. I will remember things, I will understand things more as it comes, more with time goes. But just as it stands, it's just a lot to try to grasp, because it hasn't been drip fed. It's just kind of been a whole wave, a whole rush of it, and it's just a lot. But I think that it is definitely worth it to experience a game like this. That is really honestly just my thoughts and opinions, unscripted. There's definitely without a doubt something I had to have missed. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video or the content within. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video or stream or what I do. Maybe I'll stream some Warframe sometime. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Really do appreciate it. See y'all later. And as always, I am Pumpsquatch. Goodbye.